Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Dark Chiron, and this time I will be discussing the Nintendo Direct that was earlier this month, because it had quite a few interesting things, some things I only just heard about through this, so it seemed like they had a bunch of new announcements, and I wasn't excited about all of them, but there was quite a few of them that I thought was pretty interesting, so I'm just going to have my list here. I'm just going to go down the list and talk about it a little bit briefly, what kind of made me pay attention. And hey, everyone, don't just let me ramble here. Go ahead and leave a comment about the games that you think are cool, or maybe the games that you think that I mentioned that you don't think will be that awesome. I love to hear back from you guys with a little bit of feedback on what games interest you guys. So let me know in the comments. The first game I want to talk about was Fire Emblem Warriors, which seems like it's really cool and a really good franchise for doing that kind of game. So much like Hyrule Warriors before, this game is made in the Dynasty Warriors style, where you control one of the many characters from the Fire Emblem franchise. I think specifically three houses. And you actually lead them into battle, and it's all live action, you versus giant waves of enemies, and you having these big attacks that just plow through all these enemies, and of course having bosses and little mini bosses along the way that are actually harder to fight, outside of all of the all of the cannon fodder that is everywhere else. I liked Hyrule Warriors quite a bit. I didn't get into like massively, but I played it quite a bit, and it was fairly fun to me. The gameplay is simplistic to some degree. There are tons of combos and upgrades and stuff you can do, but it's pretty much a button masher for the most part, which can be fun. That's what beat 'em ups were heavily based around, was the idea that it's fun to just hit the attack button and then beat up a bunch of people. So, yeah, the game looks interesting. If it has the same amount of polish that Hyrule Warriors had, then it should be a very well made game and entertaining for anyone who likes that kind of game. Next up is No Man's Sky, and it's actually kind of impressive to me that they're getting it running on the Switch. It's very interesting. I think of that as like a PC game, but I guess it was on consoles as well. I never think of it that way. I always think of it as a PC game. I actually really enjoyed No Man's Sky. I know it had a bit of a rocky release. The release was not fun, but they are continuously updating and adding things and giving more game modes and more features and all kinds of stuff. They it took them many years, but they have eventually built up the game to be what they kind of promised and more for the most part. So I'm glad that it's going to be on the Switch now, and that should be pretty fun. It's been a little bit since I've played it. I think I've missed a couple of updates. I played it again for quite a while, maybe a year ago or so, and I think they've had more updates since then. But they already had added a ton to it, an actual plot line, which was something that was a little bit lacking in the original game. The base building, the more robust combat, tools, all that stuff. They've added tons. And I actually, when they announced that it was coming on the Switch, I thought I should probably install it again and check it out again, because, like I said, they've never stopped adding to the game. So it'd be nice to see what else they've created thus far. Next up is Splatoon 3. I have Splatoon 2 and I played it. I got it mostly online to play online with friends. But I have to admit that shooters, even third-person shooters like that on a controller, are typically not my thing. I find it really difficult to aim, and I don't know. I could probably get used to it over time, but it's just not the same to me as having like a mouse, just having the mouse to do it with. So yeah, I'm a PC master race in that regard with my shooters. Yeah, I know people. There's quite a large following for Splatoon, and I imagine Splatoon 3 is going to be another really very hyped, or at least for a lot of people. And I'm hyped for you that that this game is coming out. They only showed off the multiplayer mode, which is kind of a horde mode type situation where you fight waves of enemies and sometimes a boss. So I'm not sure if they were just showing off that game mode and the new bosses in that game mode, or if that's what the oh now we got one that's a little bit I don't know. It's a little bit iffy for me. So they're going to have Chrono Cross on the Switch, and I like how to state this. I love Chrono Trigger, and I like the idea of Chrono Cross. This idea that you have not just just your small cast of main characters, but you have like this very large and robust cast of characters, and a lot of them get their own plots and storylines, and you have to go through time and do things in certain ways or do events in certain orders in order to acquire some of them, have them recruit some of them, and some of them won't be able to be recruited in any one particular timeline, so you have to play through the timeline again and make different decisions to get a different person. And there's some other hidden characters that have other means of being acquired too. So the whole thing is interesting to me, but I guess I wasn't as much of a fan. I didn't find the story as intriguing. I guess it's because I was kind of hoping, since they used the name Chrono Trigger, that it would have more of a tie to Chrono Trigger. And I know it has some ties to Chrono Trigger, but I was kind of hoping it would be more, more in line with it and more tied to it than it was, like an actual sequel, more than just like a. It felt more like a spin-off almost. But the combat system was also not. I wasn't like a big fan of it. Okay, I think I have it. The combat area would have 3 rings of focus on it, basically, and every time you use a magical ability or any ability with like an elemental aspect to it, one of those 3 areas in the battlefield would get lit up with that element. So the more you use the same type of element, the more powerful that element type became. So it never really felt like much of a system to me. It wasn't. It didn't seem great, and the ability list was kind of lacking to me. I didn't care for the way the abilities worked in the game, and while some of the characters did have very robust and full-out stories, some of them, they had almost next to nothing. And with as many characters was in that game, it's hard to have like a full story for every single one of them. But still, my thinking on it was, if you're not gonna make them important somehow, then like don't bother having them. It just makes them a filler character. They don't matter. And them looking cool would only go so far. New one on the Switch, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That one looks very interesting to me. I like it. It's kind of it seems like it's kind of like an overworld action RPG type game, where you don't just like go around as Kirby and eat guys and gain their powers and that's all you do. You also level up those powers and unlock new abilities with those powers and stuff like that. And as you progress through the game, you have your like hub city area that you are upgrading and expanding as you play through the game and save Tweedles, I think is what you're saving. Yes, it's one of those guys. It's one of the little round little guys that you fight in the Kirby games. But it's interesting to me. I do like the idea of it, and it seems like it'd be pretty fun. The art style reminds me of one of the new Super Mario Brother games that have been coming out in the last couple of years. It reminds me of that, the way that it just looks, but it seems like it'll have more RPG elements to it and more using different powers for different things and eating enemies and having all that stuff, like a Kirby game would have. So that's going to be fairly interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on it and see what more details we can get out about it before it comes out. uh, this one, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people happy about it, but it's not my cup of tea. But I thought I'd mention it. The Switch is going to have the Kingdom Hearts Kingdom. Did I do a typo on that? Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, I made a typo. That makes more sense. So it's the Kingdom Hearts series on the Switch, the cloud version, which I think means that it's going to work like Google Stadia was supposed to work, where you don't actually own the game or download the game. You stream it from the cloud, I suppose, which is weird and interesting to me. But I'm not insanely familiar with the Kingdom Hearts series outside the fact that I played the first one for several hours and hated it and stopped playing. So as I learned more about like the plot and stuff, I was happy I did that, because if I had to try and follow that plot, I don't know what I would do. I could not follow that plot. And it seems kind of dumb to me too, so I would probably have stopped playing it for the plot, if not for the gameplay. But I know Kingdom Hearts is a big thing for a lot of people, and I know, at least in the past, I'm not sure how bad it is anymore, but I know at least in the past, the Kingdom Hearts series, the big problem with them was trying to get all of them together in one place. Just having like a thing that you own that is all the Kingdom Hearts games, because they seem to, especially back in the early days, they spread that game far and wide to every type of console that they could possibly get it onto, and caused a lot of headaches for all the people who were trying to follow the entirety of the plot. But now apparently it's all going to be together on the Switch, on the cloud. So and just in time for the 20th anniversary of the game as well. So yeah, that's something I remember. Remember when the first of those games came out. I'm very old. Next one that I highly recommend for anyone who hasn't played it on the PC yet. The Portal Companion Collection is going to be on the Switch. It's Portal 1 and Portal 2. And just like on PC, Portal 2 will have online co-op. Of course, you have to have Nintendo's little online service, but whatever, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, the Portal games on the Switch, that should be fun. That should be very fun. I'm not sure if they're going to have any of the gyroscopic controls or anything built into the game to function, but we'll see. Whether it is or not doesn't matter that much. But yeah, if you still haven't played it on PC for whatever reason, or if you just don't own a gaming PC at all, I would highly recommend the Portal games. They are very fun if you like puzzle games. They've just a great story, great story to them, great gameplay, and like I said, puzzle solving gameplay, and just an amazing series. I wish there was more of them. They kind of hinted that there might be, but they have yet to do it, because Portal 3 along with Half-Life 3 have been put on the to be announced list. We may never get them, so it's unfortunate. But yeah, we have these on the Switch now, so that's something. Oh yeah, another one. My list, you'll notice as I go down this, my list is is very much dominated by RPGs. I love me a good RPG, so I that was reflected in the games I'm going to be talking about going forward. Live Alive. So this one's an interesting one. This was back on the Super Famicom, way back in the day, which was Japan's and I think maybe Europe's version of the Super Nintendo that we got here in the US. And this game was only ever released in Japan officially. I think some fans made a patched version on emulators of it that would make it be in English, but it was never actually officially released over in America. So now, finally, it's going to be released in America, and it's actually going to be, I think, a little bit of a remaster. I'm not sure the exact lengths that they're going to go to, because I think the game is going to be the same, but they've upgraded the graphics to be kind of like if you've seen Octopath Traveler. They call it HD 2D, where it's all 2D sprite work, but it's very, very high resolution. So it looks very crisp, but it still has that pixely aesthetic to it, which is very nice. I like it. But yeah, so Live Alive is a turn-based JRPG where you play through history as a series of characters who aren't directly related to each other, but they are all kind of in little bits and pieces. Their stories connect, and the full scope of that connection is not known until you actually play through all of them. The only reason I know about this game at all is because I think way back in the day when they were doing only image let's plays on message boards. I think someone did Live Alive and kind of showed it off, and it looks like an amazing game if you like the classic JRPGs with the turn-based combat and stuff like that, because like I said, you're playing different characters throughout history. There's all the way from caveman to far future where you're playing as a robot, and the gameplay is largely the same, but they all have their own little abilities and kind of twists to the gameplay and stuff like that. So it leads to an interesting thing, and that was kind of my big draw towards games, especially older games, when they could do it, where the big thing to me was having player choice, and letting you, just kind of giving you this big expansive game and be like, here, we'll just you go where you want to go and start where you want to start, and play in the order that you think it would be fun and interesting to play in, and just letting that go like that. Player choice was a big deal to me, and it still is. So this game having this option where you play through the story in the order that you want to, it's very intriguing, and it's pretty cool. I like it, and unraveling the mystery of what connects all of these people. Well, it should be fun. I'm actually not aware of it myself, so it'll be fun to play through and unlock that mystery for myself. So just as a little interesting aside here, they're making a Nintendo Switch sports game. They had a play test for it earlier in February, and it's just as far as I know, it's just the sports games from the Wii consoles all packaged on the Switch now, with its motion controls and everything in it. So could be fun. I had a lot of fun with those games back in the day when the Wii first came out, with Wii Sports. It was a fun game just to challenge yourself and see what kind of high score you can get, and of course the games that were competitive games for you and somebody else. Led to some nice fun interactivity and local co-op, which doesn't happen a lot these days. So that was nice to see. It's nice to see that they're kind of updating them and re-releasing them all together on the Switch now. That's not just going to be out on the Switch; it's going to be out on everything. Is the new Cuphead DLC, Delicious Last Course? That's what it's called. So that's very exciting. The original Cuphead game, if you like the 2D shooter style games that are basically the game's basically, if you don't know what Cuphead is, it's basically a boss rush where you fighting all these really difficult bosses, and where you have to learn their patterns, and you have to shoot them, and you have different types of weapons and different types of power-ups that you can equip to kind of try to tackle these bosses in different ways. And they're just expanding that. They're adding another character, Miss Chalice, I think is what her name is. She's the woman who was the ghost in the mausoleums in the original Cuphead, I think. I think she's the same person. I guess she's alive again now. Maybe she came back to life after we beat Satan. I don't know. But yeah, so they're adding her as a playable character. She has her own abilities different from Cuphead and Mugman, and they're adding a whole new island, so a whole new slew of stages and boss fights, new weapons, new power-ups. So it should be fun. It should be nice to check out. So keep an eye out for that if you liked Cuphead. And last but not least, a game series I enjoy quite a lot, Xenoblade Chronicles. Specifically, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming out on the Switch. I've played the other ones on the Wii consoles, the Wii and the Wii U. Had a lot of good fun with them. They were very, very, very fun. The one in particular on the Wii U, that was the last one that came out. I enjoyed it quite a lot. So how to explain Xenoblade Chronicle games? It's you and some AI controlled partners going around, having pseudo turn based combat with creatures. It's basically almost like, I know how to explain it. It's like a single player MMO. It's how it feels. You go to the cities and get quests from quest givers, and they send you out into the world, and you go out into the world and investigate and fight enemies and do events and stuff like that. And you progress to the story, or you can do side quests and stuff like that, and just do daily grind quests and things like that. So it's very, very, and you farm. The last one I think you farmed reputation, and you had a very long list of thing upgrade paths that you could upgrade their various things, like your characters. And your characters all have their mechs, and the mechs have their own their own power levels and equipment and abilities. So there's just a ton of stuff to do, as well as just following the storyline. And the stories have all been fairly interesting to me as well. So I'm looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It should be fun on the Switch. I like to see what they do. I would like to see more with the online components. If they can make it more of an MMO where you actually go out and do quests with other players, that would be something interesting. I would like to see some of that, or play co-op through the story. That would be cool if they could do that. I think Nintendo has broadened their horizons on how they feel about online play, so hopefully they'll have some more support for online co-op between you and other players. I think if I remember correctly, in the last Xenoblade Chronicles, they had like leaderboards and things like that, where you could see how other players are doing on quests and collections and reputation grinds and all this stuff. But I don't think you could do actual play. You couldn't do actual questing with other people online, I don't think. I think you could see them in the cities and stuff to some slight degree. Oh god, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've played it. Sorry, but yeah, I would like to maybe see it become realized into a real MMO. And in that case, maybe you'd be saying I should just be playing Lost Ark or Final Fantasy 14 or something instead, if I actually want an MMO. But and that's it. That's the games that stood out to me. There were several others they talked about, but they weren't particularly appealing to me. So yeah, as I said, leave a comment. Say, let me know games that you're looking forward to on the Switch. All these games I talked about, I think, are coming out at some point this year. So it's going to be a packed year, at least for me. It's going to be quite a lot of stuff to be getting over the course of the year. And that's just for Nintendo. I don't even know what I'll be having to get for all the other, for the PS5 and the PlayStation. Jeez, so many games. I don't know how I'm going to get them all. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.